Hello, in this video I'm going to show you a very basic example of a naive Bayes classifier. Okay, so we're going to be using scikit-learn and naive Bayes from it. We're going to be using the Gaussian naive Bayesian, and we're also going to be learning how to use, very briefly, but how to use arrays in NumPy. Okay, you will need to install NumPy scikit-learn, which I believe you already have, and NumPy requires SciPy. Okay, if you're using Anaconda, then you should be okay. If you install them individually using PIP, you might need to install NumPy and SciPy separately. Okay, so what we are gonna do, we start importing our libraries. Okay, then we're gonna read from our files. Okay, so we have two files. Let me see our inputs. Okay, so they are just right here. So these are our inputs. So it's a CSV file, comma separated values, where we have one input contains 2 points separated with a comma, and we have 12 values here. These are our training data, and then we have the target values for that training are this. So the classes are called 3 and 4. Okay, so we have those are class 3, and then everything else is class 4. Okay, so we are gonna use NumPy to generate from text. We give it the path and the name of the file. In this case, it's a CSV. They're integers in our case, and we need to tell Python what the delimiter is. In this case, because they are comma separated values, it's just a comma. Okay, so we execute this. Now x and y exist in memory. Now, to use the classifier, the naive Bayesian classifier, we create the model first, and then we feed our inputs and our target classes. Okay, so we execute this command, and it will just tell us that it's been created. And now what we're going to do is predict, given 2 new points. So I have 1, 2, and 3, 4 as my new inputs. I want to know that point, what class point 1, 2 belongs to, and what class point 3, 4 belongs to. So I execute it, and I am printing the values. So basically what this is telling me is that point 1, 2 belongs to class 3, and point 3, 4 belongs to class 4. Okay, and this is how you use your naive Bayesian Gaussian classifier, and a tiny bit on how to use NumPy arrays. Okay. Okay, let's have a look at the exercise that you have to complete. Okay, so as I was saying, you have some individuals that are doing some weightlifting exercises, and we want to classify those exercises using some body sensing data. Okay, some kind of Fitbit or other devices. We have data on the accelerometers on different parts of their body, and these actions on these sensor data is gonna give us values, and each of those exercises are classified on the training set as class A, being they do the exercise properly, and then there's 4 errors, sorry. So B, if they throw the elbows to the front, then they don't lift high enough, that's C. If they only go down halfway, it's class D, and then if they move the hips to the front, it's class E. Okay, so there's 4 errors and 1 properly executed exercise. Okay, so let's have a look at our data. So we have our train data, looks like this. We have the name of the user, then some timestamp, some values, windows, and so on, and then we start with our sensor data from the belt. There's sensors in different parts of the body of the person doing the exercises, so we have all those values from different accelerometers and sensors at different parts, and then at the end we have the class, and we can see all of these are the same type of mistake, but then we have different mistakes, and then there's some, oops, in here the person is doing the exercise properly. Okay, so we have all these values for their data, and then the class. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is clean the data. We don't need all that. Okay, so we'll start loading the data into arrays in NumPy. We will need to import scikit-learn and NumPy. Then once we have the data in an array or several arrays, then we will separate the inputs and the outputs. Remember, I showed you here, you have the inputs, you have some cells you don't need, then you have all your inputs, and the last column on this file is the output, the target value. So for your training, for creating your model, you need to separate this column into one particular array and all these other columns into a different array, getting rid of the ones you don't need. Okay, so we're going to do that slicing in Python. Use our NumPy array will just slice out whatever columns we don't need. Okay, so that's going to be done in exercise 2. Once we have our X, Y for the training set created properly, cleaned and organized, then we can create the Gaussian classifier and train it using our X and Y arrays. And once that's done, then we can predict using the test data set. We can predict if this exercise, each of these rows of exercises are executed properly. If you see here, we get to the end and we don't know if it's executed properly or not. So in this case, you don't need to get the target values. This is test data. We have some figures, the sensors are giving us values, and we need to know if the exercise is executed properly or not. Okay, so you'll have to do some cleaning here. Again, same kind of initial cleaning at the beginning. And you should get an array where it will tell you first row is class A, second one is A, third one is E, and so on. Okay, now if you want to test how well your model is performing, you have an extra file where you have the ground truth, the target values, the classes for each of those test data points. Okay, so these here are the results you should be getting. You can compare these values to the ones you got to see how accurate your classifier is. Okay, and that will be the exercise. And that's all for this week. Bye.